Hello and welcome back. We are once again continuing with our Imperial Guard, specifically Cadians. I think this is now our third part, and if you were with us last time, you'll know that we were painting on our base layers. We're going to be continuing on with our Xandri dust, and to start things off, we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. Let me get my brush nice and ready here. Once again, we're using a small size 0, just a cheap kind of Amazon brush, nothing too fancy. But we want to get our paint nice and thin on our palette here. And I want to go back and do a little bit of cleanup on some spots that we kind of passed over a little bit last time. Unfortunately, I normally do all my recordings at night, and my desk is set up kind of for that. I do have two different desk lamps, and they work great. But during the day, I have a little bit of like glare coming through from my window, and that's when I recorded the last few parts. So unfortunately, I missed a bunch of stuff, and I wasn't even able to see it very well. So I do just want to do a quick little cleanup. We won't do any of the green just yet, but at some point we will go back around and do that as well. I just figured since we're doing our Xandri dust anyway, I might as well just prevent ourselves from having to go back again in the future. And you can see I missed a ton here, specifically on the arms. Kind of expected, partially because it's all very difficult to see anyway. But I do want to make sure we just get that and get it out of the way as soon as possible here. We are going to be doing probably our next color in this one as well, which is going to be like our brown, kind of more leathery color. That's going to be kind of the backpacks, the belts, all their little tool pouches, the whole 9 yards. So I'm very excited to do that because that means we're one step closer to being finished. And I do enjoy these guys. I have a bunch of Cadians already. I have a big army of them, and I just find them really relaxing to paint. They're a little tricky sometimes. There's kind of some nooks and crannies that are a little bit annoying, but overall, a very nice, relaxing experience. And we'll just do a little bit of cleanup on this guy, and then we'll move right ahead onto our next models. Don't want to take too long, waste too much of your guys' time, but it is important we make things look nice. Perfect. We'll call that done for now. We'll go back and clean it up again if there's more that we're missing, which I'm sure is the case, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Again, I'm making sure I clean off my brush after every few minutes here, just because I don't want pigment kind of drying and ruining my brush for me. Also, it helps keep my paint nice and thin, kind of naturally, without me having to focus on it too much. Kind of a double whammy there. And I just ruined that knee pad, but that's fine. We can go back over that in the future. No big deal. I also don't want to get too off topic too early here, but it's just something I've been thinking about recently. I'm really excited for kind of like November. I don't know how many of you guys are also gamers. I'm going to assume quite a large amount. But I gotta say, we are going to be eating in November, kind of end of October. I've been looking at all these releases, which I had no idea were even coming out. And they're just like, release date, November. Release date, like October 24th, like out of nowhere. And it's a bunch of games like I haven't seen any like advertising on or anything. Like Farm Sim 2025, that's coming out. A new Flight Sim, I think it's the same one, 2025 as well. That's also coming out at the end of November, I think. There's a couple others I can't think of off the top of my head. And I'm really looking forward to, what do you call it, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that kind of point in time. Just because there's a bunch of games that came out this year that I didn't really have a chance to pick up. And now that I've got a little bit of cash saved up, I think that's probably going to be what I spend most of it on. I'm really looking forward to the Dead Rising remake. That just came out. It's gotten some pretty decent reviews. Nothing too crazy, but from what I've seen, it's essentially the same game, just made a little bit prettier. which is perfect. I love the first Dead Rising, and I always need an excuse to go back and play it, so I think that's kind of perfect for me. Also, Silent Hill 2 comes out, I think in like 4 days-ish. I think it's like on the 10th, so that'll be fun. I don't know if I'm going to pick that up. I'll definitely watch someone play it, though. I have not played a single Silent Hill, but I've through osmosis, I've seen them all. So I am kind of excited for that. I'm sure someone's going to pop out one of those, 10-hour video essay things, and I kind of love those. I'm not going to lie. I just watched, not to like shout out other people randomly, but Pyrocynical's Darkwood video. Highly recommend it. If you're a fan of like survival horror, it's a very good game. I think the story in it is great, and it definitely deserves some time invested into it. Very well made video. I'll give him credit for that. I don't really have an opinion on any of his other stuff. I don't know much about him, but top marks. I've watched the entire thing. It's great. Highly recommend it. I'm trying to think of what else is coming out. I've been replaying Starfield, unfortunately. The DLC just came out, which took way too long and delivers way too little. But I complained about that enough last time, so I won't waste your guys' time doing it again. I don't know. There's just a bunch of stuff. I think Lollipop Chainsaw is getting a remaster, or did get a remaster. I haven't really seen anything about that. Kind of excited to pick that up, I guess. I didn't play the first one. That was sadly something I missed out on, but it looked good. I heard some pretty decent things about it, so maybe I'll pick it up this time. We'll see. We will definitely see. I'm sure there's going to be a like Battle Force box for Warhammer towards the end of the year. Hopefully, at least. They kind of normally do like a Christmas release, I think. And I'm sure that'll be a Christmas theme mini as well. That'll be fun. I think last year's was the Gabo, which if they re-released it for this year, I'd pick that up. Kind of one that I missed out on, unfortunately. But we could do a whole video on that. I'd enjoy painting it. Not so much the candy cane stripes that I see on it, but for the most part, the rest of it I kind of would like to paint. And as we kind of finish up here, we have 2 more guys to do, so stay with me. If not, it's been good knowing you. It's alright, I understand. You don't want to sit here and listen to me ramble. I'm going to keep doing it, though. That's kind of the downside of this, is that I do like painting squads. I like batch painting. I think it's very effective. But man, you do run out of stuff to talk about Warhammer-wise very quickly. I could start like reciting lore to you, but I don't know too much of the modern lore, unfortunately. If you've seen the rest of my videos, you'll know I talk about it pretty often. I'm really big into the Horus Heresy. That's kind of where my lore technique, technique. I don't even know what word I was going for there. Good lord. Expertise, I guess, is what I was trying to say. That's where my expertise is the heresy itself. Everything from like the 30 to 31,000 era. Personal favorite. I definitely think all of the legions were a lot cooler back then. I like the successor chapters, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of cool ones, Blood Ravens, Black Templars, all that. But man, the original 18 quote-unquote legions, absolute perfection. I love those dudes. And I love the Civil War. I love everything about it. Highly recommend it. And again, we're going to be doing the exact same thing. Just make sure we miss those knee pads. Doesn't really matter if we get any paint on the boots or not. We're going to be going right over those once we're finished here. And just in case you don't want to sit here and watch me do the rest of these guys mind-numbingly, I'm just going to shout it out real quick. I am going to be doing Dryad Bark next. That's going to be our kind of leather. That's going to be the backpack, the boots. I think I'm going to do their hands like that, like they're wearing little gloves. And I think that's about it. Maybe a little bit of their weapon will be brown as well. I think for the most part, I want to keep it kind of primarily black though, just to kind of contrast with their uniforms a little bit. We'll kind of see how it looks. If we need to fix it, we will come back and, reconsider, but I think it should look all right. I also, again, getting off topic, normally when I record, I have my window open because it gets very warm in my room. I had my window open earlier and a bee found its way in. Like, I have a screen window and everything underneath or behind like my proper window, which normally prevents that sort of thing. And I didn't see any holes in it. Like, I don't know how this thing got in, but it did. And it's disappeared. I just left the house for a few hours, came back, and it was gone. So I don't know if it managed to get out again. The window's been closed, so I don't know where it went, but I'm kind of terrified. If you see me, or if you hear me, rather, just run away in the middle of this video. That's why the bee came back. But it's been gone since I've been home. It's been a few hours, so here's hoping it just stays gone. I want nothing to do with it. It is, unfortunately, very warm in my room now, though. Sometimes I turn a fan on, but it's quite loud, so I don't have that running either. It's just kind of me sweltering while I'm painting Warhammer. So I'm probably just going to do this one episode, and then I'll dip. We'll do the rest on a nicer day. I'm very, very looking forward to the winter months. I absolutely love the cold. I know some people think that's kind of crazy. I know a lot of people like the heat instead, but man, I will take winter over summer any day. Give me like the absolute freezing temperatures. I cannot get enough of it. I see myself as a little bit of a Valhallan, right? Those dudes love the cold. Definitely up my alley. Like, give me the absolute coldest area you can imagine, and I will love it. I'm like a polar bear. And, there is an argument to be made, right? Some people think I'm crazy when I talk about liking the cold and not liking the heat. You can always add more layers, right? Like, you can always get yourself warmer by bundling up. But that's not true with the heat. You can't always take off layers. At some point, like, you need air conditioner or like a fan or something, and you don't always have that if you're like out in public or whatever. So there you go. That's my entire argument right there to be made, is that the heat is worse because it just sucks more. I don't know. We are, I think, nearly finished up with this guy though. We will. Actually, I take that back. There's a little bit of his leg here I want to do. And then we'll move on to our last and final guy. And I promise we'll do a little bit of that brown before we end things off. I don't want to go too long. I like to keep these at 20 minutes, but I also don't want to spend an entire episode doing one color. I think that's kind of boring and kind of redundant, if I'm being honest. And if you're just joining me for this video, because I know how YouTube's algorithm is, I mentioned it at the start, but I'll mention it again. I do want to do something special with this guy's plasma gun. Normally, I do kind of like a bright blue and white kind of effect, just to make it look like it's giving off a kind of bright glow. But this time, I want to make it look like he's just fired it. So I'm going to have like some nice red and orange kind of around the tip of it. And I want to do something real cool with that. Hopefully I can pull it off. I can't promise anything. I'm not the absolute best artist in the world, but I think it should be somewhat manageable. And I'm excited to try, at least. I will say that. Whether I'm successful or not, it should be fun. And that's kind of what I'm banking on. So real quickly, patch up the rest of this guy. I'm getting a little bit sloppy, but it's fine. I need to do another base coat of that green anyway, so I'm not too worried about spilling over. But if you are able to avoid it, try to do that. Take your time a little bit more. No one's rushing you unless you're like on a deadline or something, which that's the case. That's rough. I can't imagine. I hate being rushed on things. And this is why. It's because I get very sloppy very quickly. But, you know, if you're doing this for yourself, relax, take your time. There's absolutely no reason to hurry along. Just make sure you focus on thinning your paints and keeping those kind of pristine, powerful brush strokes, right? Don't worry about, you know, how much you're layering. Just worry about kind of keeping that precision as you go along. That's much more important. And we'll do the other arm as well, and we'll come back at a later point and kind of do our second layer of this. And then we'll move on to our next color. Also, I want to point out this guy has like an oven mitt. I love the plasma gun, right? That's my absolute favorite guard weapon and like Space Marine weapon. Plasma guns are cool. But the guard version of it, they wear this stupid glove, and I hate it. It looks like an oven mitt. It is the dumbest thing ever. And unfortunately, like, I could kit bash it, technically, sure, but it's such a weird fit. It's honestly, I don't think it's worth the hassle. I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll kind of look at using different arms for it. I think like the Melta guy has a normal hand, but for now I'm just kind of rolling with what I have, and it does annoy me a little bit. I think it looks so dumb, especially compared to such a cool weapon as well. But oh well. We will clean up the back of this leg a little bit, and then we'll officially move on to our next color. This will be the last of the tan we're doing for now. So go ahead and close that up. And moving on once again. Oh, actually, nope. Wrong color. That is horrendous. It's fine. I have the other one over here. I was woefully unprepared. That's going to be our base color, is Sterling Mud. Dryad Bark is going to be all of our leather, our boots, our gloves, all of that, like I mentioned previously. And of course, make sure we get our paintbrush nice and clean before we switch colors over here. And make sure we get a decent amount on our palette. We're going to be doing a bunch of real estate in a little amount of time here. Starting out very quickly with these backpacks. We'll focus on kind of doing all the little stuff on them in the future, but for now we just want to get pretty much all of it done in a clean base coat of Dryad Bark here. Make sure you get the undersides as well. It's very easy to miss. And come around the other side. There's kind of an awkward kind of divide where the armor starts and the backpack ends. It's that little like crescent shape there, that half moon. It's really awkward, but we'll do our best to kind of work around it. And it does continue on to these little shoulder straps here. My hands are extra shaky today, again, like usual, but we'll try to keep things a little bit neat and tidy as we do this. And perfect. Do the same thing on our other side. He's actually got his little power weapon here, so it's going to go right over the shoulder instead. And I think there's two. I think there's one that goes under, and then there's one that connects behind the back there, so we'll do both. If I can keep things in focus, that would be perfect. And there we are, and bring it right around. And again, we'll clean this up in the future. Don't need to be perfect on the first go, but we'll do our best. Perfect. Moving on, we're going to be doing our glove as well. It's kind of hard to see, actually, his other little glove here, but it's like right there, right? So let me get a little bit more on our palette. I noticed our paint does dry up rather quickly, unfortunately. But starting out, whoops, if I didn't drop things, we're going to do our little oven mitt here first, just because it's the biggest and kind of the easiest thing to paint on this guy. And it's also the dumbest, but that's my personal opinion. I hate this thing. Absolutely hate this thing. Notice our underside here is woefully underpainted. Like none of the black got on this, but that's fine. Just do our nice base coat, and we'll come back and do another layer of it in the future once this dries. Nice. We'll come back with the tan as well and really clean that up. And I think I really got to look at this little guy. I think his glove starts right there. Yeah, there we go. And make sure you wrap around, get the knuckles and kind of the rest of his fingers there. Awkward camera angles, as always, but try our very best to get all the way in there. And back into that little recessed area as well. Perfect. And while we're at it here, we'll even take a look at his little belt. He's got little like pouches and stuff. We'll go ahead and make those brown while we're here. And we'll kind of wrap things up. As we do, I'll kind of shout some things out here. I do have a Patreon, link is in the description. Basically everything that goes into that, when something is going into that, at some point someone will join it. But basically everything that gets sent to my Patreon will go right back into making videos, whether that's buying models, buying paints, whatever. It's just going to help kind of for me to put more content out more often. So if this is something you like and you want to consider supporting it, check it out. Otherwise, don't feel too stressed about it. It's really not going to make or break me. You're still going to get content regardless. It's just going to be at a little bit of a slower pace. I also would encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. Specifically, comment. I mean, really, I do want your guys' feedback. Let me know what you think, whether I'm boring or whether I'm bad at painting. Whether you guys want to see specific models or something. All of it. Any feedback is good feedback, in my opinion. So please feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. And yeah, other than that, we're gonna wrap things up here. We'll finish off our little squad. We'll continue finishing our little squad next time. And as always, I just want to thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully, you join me in the next video.